Go 5 burning questions again, and just taking these off the Instagram this morning. So we're gonna start. Let me find the first one. Tyler Galloway wanted to know top 3 mobility movements for the front rack. And funny thing, he asked this, and I'm like, well, I actually just did a book about this that just came out today called "Your Front Rack Is Bull Crap," so to speak. And not to, I don't want to get too much foul language on these videos. And you can, so I told him, you can get that book at my website, www.drjewett07.com. I'll put the link at the end. You can find the website at the end of the video, and I'll post it through here too as I'm talking. But the intent of these videos wasn't to watch me do a bunch of stretching or a bunch of mobility work, which is fine. That all stuff has its place, but those things are around and available, and you can get them through a good friend of mine, Kelly Starrett, www.mobilitywod.com, and I'll put that on there as well. But and he does daily videos about that stuff. But I did take the biggest limiting factors people have: their shoulders, their back, their hips, their feet, and their ankles, and then some of the movements that people really struggle with. I've been around a lot. I've taught a lot of seminars, and front racks and squats come up a lot. So I've got books about that as well. So check all that stuff out. I don't want to just keep making answering questions about those same things over and over when you can just buy those books and have them available, and they have hours and hours of video. So there's no stone unturned in those, so make sure you take a look at those. Next question is a big one. So, do I rip a lot of pants and underwear in training? Not anymore. I used to rip pants all the time, and that is why I've gone to either Eddie Bauer guide pants, which I wore for a very long time. Now that it's winter and it's Iowa and it's disturbingly cold, it's Hoth, for 5 months a year, I've gone to a thicker Duluth Trading Company jeans and pants, and they are what are they? Fire Hose Flex Foreman pants or the Ballroom Flex jeans, and I lift at work mostly. So in the mornings I do a lot of my training as far as stuff that's gonna make me really 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 hot and sweaty. Some aerobic intervals or things like that. I do that in the morning before anyone else gets up, and so that I wear what my pajamas basically. But the strength work I end up doing at work, so I have to have pants that aren't going to explode. I have ripped so many pants over the 10 years I've been practicing in front of patients in the middle of teaching them things. So and rarely did I have more pants at work, so it's like, well, get to lunchtime, my pants have a little big hole in the butt. But I've ripped pants more recently. 511 tactical. I'm sorry, but your pants were not ready for my deep squats. And then the last, Duluth Trading Company, those pants, they're phenomenal. And when I'm at work, I have very long rest periods, and so that's why it doesn't really bother me to do a lot of that, heavy squatting, heavy deadlifting, and stuff like that at work, because I might do 2-3 reps, maybe up to 5. See a few patients, come back and do it again. And if you really look at the research, yes, 3 to 5 minutes is recommended for strength. If we're doing strength work for rest periods, but if Pavel had written some stuff about things even being like 10 minutes or longer can be ideal depending on what percent range you're working in. And it's hard to argue with the fact that I've been personally setting and hitting some marks I haven't hit in a long time, or even more than I ever have. So, who knows, but I tend to do pretty well with that. Lightning round question: best vest to wear to PR a deadlift? The only vest I own is my Eddie Bauer vest, black. The puffy, it's a little bit puffy, not too puffy, just puffy enough, and that is the only vest that I wear when I'm training. So, on to the next question. That was from the last one about my pants was from Daniel Gunter. Thank you. How long should I train in the gym, or how long should a new athlete train in the gym before they attempt a 1-rep max lift? And this is a big one because I work with our high school, and for many years, it drove me insane. And this happened even to some extent when I was growing up and learning to lift. But especially at that level, everyone brings in their new athlete. It's the first day of the summer. You haven't trained all year. You've never trained before, but to run our program, we got to figure out the most you can squat, and we have never taught you to squat, or we got to see your 1 rep max clean, and we've never shown you how to do a clean. And that you say it out loud like that, and it sounds absolutely ridiculous, and it is. And what I want people to know is, if you keep pushing up people's 3-5 rep lifts, they are getting stronger. You don't need to know their 1 rep max. And any athlete you work with that's new, or even at the high school level, there are 2 sports that require you to ever know, like absolutely require you to ever know the most you can lift, because it's part of the competition: weightlifting and powerlifting. Other than that, they need to be strong enough to hold the postures and positions necessary to compete at a high level in their sport. That's all they need. And there's been a lot of research, I'm sure, in Russia and those places where they found out, if we lifted this amount of weight, our guys performed like this, pushing us up this much farther, didn't really improve the sport we were trying to improve, so there was no need to really do that. And that's a lot of important considerations when you're working with athletes that are not in powerlifting or not in weightlifting, because those sports demand that you know the most they can lift, because that's the competition. Anything else you do, you can base stuff off of 5 rep maxes forever and always be pushing people stronger. And going back to the actual question, I think, don't quote me on this, I don't remember where I heard it, but either it was Max Ada or Chad Wesley Smith, one of those guys, maybe even someone that had on one of their podcasts, or someone in that circle. It could have been on Power Athlete too, with John Wellborn and Luke and Tex, but I thought I heard somebody say, I can't remember the scientists they were quoting, but that it can take from the time a new athlete starts training, it can take them several years. I thought I remember them saying 8 years to really give you a truly maximum effort. And that's a long time, but to build the neurologic efficiency, the tendon strength, the ligament strength, the muscular hypertrophy and density and coordination and motor control and all those things, to really truly put your nervous system and your musculoskeletal system into a maximum effort, takes a long time. So don't worry about finding the kid that just started the gym's 1 rep max. Doesn't matter. He can't give you one. He's neurologically inefficient. He doesn't have any muscle tone. He's soft. He's doughy. He has to train for a long time. And even if he's at a high school athlete level, you may never need to know. That's an important part. If you are into training high school kids that are not powerlifting, weightlifting, unless someone is asking for it, which that's kind of starting to go by the wayside anyway, but you do not really need to know those things. Even to create a program, you don't need to know the absolute maximum someone can lift. So, Corey. And next one, Danny. Not sure the last name, but he asked me my take on manipulation manual therapy. Do they have a time and place with patient treatment plan, or do I avoid both? So in my practice, I still do hands-on work with people. It's not the biggest part of what I do, but I think it has a time and a place. Like everything, I've said that many times before, everything has a time and place to be done. And if a patient has joints and soft tissues that are restricted to the point where I feel like it needs some sort of physical input to the joint to create better proprioception, to free up movement, to unlock any guarding the nervous system has, so that we can teach that person how to perform those kinds of activities themselves, make it a catalyst for them to work on self-improvement, and then show them how that they can move and exercise and load the system so that they can continue to make improvements when they're not at my office. That's really the goal. I think everything is useful in when you're working with people, because some people, it makes them feel better, and that's what they're there for, and they almost expect it from you. And I don't want to get too far into that trap, but sometimes that person in the beginning, initially, they feel like they need that hands-on stuff, and then you can have that conversation into them working on the stuff themselves and show them, yes, this is useful, yes, this is helpful, yes, this has made you feel better. But a lot of this stuff is you're able to do on your own at home if you understand the right tools and you understand kind of how to put yourself and how to apply these kinds of things on your own. So my goal is always to be moving people towards independence, and if that means showing them how to do things that look and smell like manual therapy on their own, then that's fine. I don't feel like I have to hide that stuff behind a curtain and people need to keep coming back to me forever. The goal for me as a practitioner is to teach. So I hope that answers that question. And then we have one more to go. Opinions on starting strength methods and similarities between what they do and what I do at my office, which is called the Yard, if you're not familiar with that or what I do. That's from, oh shoot, what's his name? Tucker. Starting strength is about putting people in efficient positions to lift and having them practice those over time with fives. And there's nothing wrong with fives. The world of strength and conditioning was built on fives. It's a nice way to put things in between a single and the old 20 rep squat, which is brutal. You can push people a long ways at a linear way with fives. And I don't think there's anything wrong with anything that any of those guys have ever done. Principles are always going to be there. You have to overload people over time, and the method that you use to do that can vary tremendously, and we can all end up in the same place. So, as far as similarities and differences, similarities are, I'm a huge proponent of consistent technical practice with incremental increases in load, whether that be if I'm using 3s, 5s, 10s, 8s, whatever that may be, and keeping it very simple and sticking to just a few lifts and learn to do them very well, and adding in lower skill work around conditioning, so to speak, to help shore up any things that we're not hitting with just the lifts. Because yes, training is important with a barbell. As far as I'm concerned, it's not for everyone. It doesn't need to be part of everyone's program. I find it very useful in what I do, but it is sagittal only. You're just going up and down for the most part. So we have to add in training in some of those other planes, and that's where, on top of normally progressed incremental movements through the big lifts like the squat, the bench, deadlift, and the press, we also add in a lot of sled work, sandbag work, hammer work, med ball work, and carries and all those things. So we're trying to shore up any of the stuff that we're missing when we're just doing those lifts. So Tucker, hope that answers your question as well. And that was all 5. And stick around at the end. You can check out the credits for the things that I'm up to, where you can find me. I've got lots of seminars and other stuff coming up. And I just had that new book come out today, and you can scroll through all there and you can check out everything I've ever written. There's quite a bit of stuff going on. So thank you guys for the questions. Hope this answers some of them, and we will do this again next week.